Hello, my name is Amanda, and when I was 10 years old, I was a victim of the sexual predator, Dr. Bartow. I had suffered from asthma attacks my entire life, so I often visited Johnstown Pediatrics for checkups and for asthma attacks. I knew the procedure like the back of my hand. Listened to my lungs, checked my levels on a peak flow meter, and then prescribed steroids or increased my nebulizer treatments. Well, this appointment didn't quite go like that. Remembering back, I don't think Dr. Bartow ever even listened to my lungs at this point. There are some things I will never forget. I could tell you exactly what room I was in, what color the walls were, what he was wearing. I will never forget the sound of his voice or his creepy, long, cold fingers that so many of the other survivors remember as well. I knew immediately something wasn't right at this appointment. He insisted that I needed to be checked for scoliosis. And no matter how many times I told him I was there for asthma, he didn't care. After the scoliosis check, which was he had me get a dress for, he had me lay down on the table and said he needed to check me for an infection. I knew none of this was right. I knew it was completely wrong. And I felt terrified and shamed afterwards. I immediately told my mom, and she contacted the office. They responded to her and noted that Dr. Bartow is just a very thorough doctor, and he was checking for infection. We did push the issue, but asked for me never to see Dr. Bartow ever again. And I didn't. Except for having to pass him in the hallways of the doctor's office, I was fortunate to never have to see him again. I moved on from that day and thought that I must have been imagining things, that I must have misunderstood the appointment, that I was confused. And then 2 years later, I saw in the news that two extremely brave and courageous girls were accusing Dr. Bartow of the same thing that he had done to me. I instantly felt vindicated, and I knew that I had been right and had not been imagining things for the last few years. Well, I quickly learned that Dr. Bartow had everyone fooled, and as most of you know how the story goes, he was able to overcome these charges and return to practicing medicine. I know now, after hearing him say it in an interview, that he felt invincible after these charges were dropped, and he continued his assault on children for more than 20 years after this. For many years, I've been so angry that people were still taking their children to see this monster, despite his previous allegations. Angry that people would tell me, and this still just happened 4 days ago, that he was such a great doctor. How could this be true? Angry that he seemed to be everywhere. In the school that I taught at, in my parents' neighborhood, in the grocery store, everywhere you looked. Everyone looked at him with such reverence, all the while I knew that he was a monster. And I was angry that no matter what I told people about him, no one would believe me and say, but he's such a great doctor. On the day of his sentencing, I got to look Dr. Bartow in the eyes and tell him everything I felt. Despite him not showing any expression or remorse, getting those words out and saying them directly to him was very satisfying. And it is easier to be less angry now. I may have been angry, but I am certainly not afraid. Now that we can speak openly about what Dr. Bartow did to us, so many of us, I'm going to speak up for the children who are too afraid to face the person who abused them. Speak up and get my voice and my other sister and brother survivors' voices heard. Speak up and force the lawmakers of Pennsylvania to make changes that fully protect sexual abuse victims. For such a small town, we have truly suffered at the hands of the church and local physicians, but no more. On the day of his sentencing, I heard incomprehensible stories that I will remember for the rest of my life. The stories and descriptions have seriously haunted me since that day, and I know they will for a very long time. So many people have been traumatized by sexual abuse, but what I think is even more important is that so many people are now talking about it too. Sexual abuse no longer has to be a secret that you are forced to keep. Tell your story. Someone will believe you. I will believe you. Predators no longer have anywhere to hide. Thank you. Next is Andy.